The luxury of being able to write or produce content. No one had it until the invention of writing. Now everyone can just plug their phone and just write anything, which is any tweet, a text message, an email, and all of this is of content. When you look into social media from a social media perspective, there are many reasons for why people, organizations, researchers would be interested to capture those conversations going on a daily basis, regardless of kind of conversation, political reasons, commercial. Maybe I will leave this as a discussion. What kind of usages of data on social media? Give me an example. Anyone can contribute? Scientific. مثلا. Sentiment. Certain. Nice. It's like a social study. You mentioned something about targeted ads. Can you tell us how it works? Yes. So they, aside of the kind of the content you post as a text, they still follow your interactions. They follow what kind of pages you go to, where do you like. Even if you exit app and go somewhere else, you still do get tracked somehow. There's a lot of massive information to be used. Yes, Laza. Yes, that happened actually. Yeah, so for the commercial purposes, we know that we get targeted ads everywhere. They're shoving your service history on your face, your sneaker that you want to buy. I don't know. For particular reasons, mainly we see it in campaigning. We always take the examples of USA elections, but you could also not. You could also even witness it in our local countries. I mean, for Libya, in times of municipal elections or presidential elections, you see pages that are like putting, like you see like certain pages that are like being monetized or sponsored to praise a certain actor or defamation campaign against the opponent. For social studies, as Afaf mentioned, a study emotional experiment, sentiment analysis of moods. There's also other experiences, like in fact-checking also there's a study towards analyzing the kind of language in fake news. How is it different from action news in terms of the language structure, the morphology, the syntax, the language mistakes. For technology regions, we are in the area of AI, machine learning, big data. So this is a very big source of data sets. We will go into data sets later, specifically fake news. So yeah, they train their algorithms, whatever, for different purposes. We have many others. We can go on. Yeah. So we now in this phase where we're going to talk about collecting data on social media. This is a picture from a famous game I like, Uncharted 3, which is basically when the main character has hopped from an airplane and he ended up in the middle of the desert. He doesn't know where he are. He's just roaming around for, I hope, but he doesn't have a compass. What I would like to say in this part where we start is basically when you look for data, you don't just go get data. You need to have a goal, you need to have a theme, what I'm looking for, understanding of the context, So the broader your aim is, the less likely you'll get data that will help you. So you need to, especially when it comes to analysis, you have a certain hypothesis. Hypothesis cannot be broad, generalized. So you need a compass. A compass, yeah. في ليبيا لما حد يجي يصدمك بخبر يقول لك صار هيك في منطقتنا او اي شيء بلغه الشارع نقولوا شني مني كيف علاش. It's like there's some questions. شني what مني من كيف how. طيب علاش which means why وين أين. Or in English there's the famous 5 W's in any topic. So we want to know when this thing happened, or what is this thing, who are the like actors or the subjects or who is it concerned to, why, and how. So if you want to do it in a way where we do it in an year, is we care about the topic, the theme, the subject. What is the topic? What is the topic I'm tackling? What are the keywords? Because we're dealing with social media posts. So we're dealing with any sequence of text. Sequence of text have a meaning, they have a sentiment. A series of words, they make a sentence. A sentence have also either like a literal meaning or have a discourse meaning, which is a meaning that is not composed of the literal sequence of letters. For example, when they say it's raining cats and dogs or something like this, it doesn't literally mean that it rains cats and dogs, but it means it's raining heavily. So I need to have some kind of understanding. I'm also interested in the timeline of the event. For example, I'm looking for data that has to do with a flood in Yemen, or I don't know, a certain conflict in Libya. So I need to know the time frame of that event, when did it happen. Context around this flood, if there's like, for example, let's say the conflict, it's between who and why. And what's the reason of me gathering content? Is it for me to do a marketing campaign? Is it for me to, I don't know, analyze the sentiment of the language, do emotional analysis, fact checking? So those are the questions we ask when we're gathering the data from massive amount of data on social media. Now this is where I put my touch. Instead of me making it simple, but I'm gonna hopefully it's gonna be simple. So what I like to how to present this way. So let's say you have this is a simple form of a function in languages. بالعربي هي اسمها الديوال البرمجية. A function is basically designed to do a certain thing. You give it an input, it gives you an output, or there's a certain process without an output. So here I'm defining a function called sum two numbers, which basically I'm intending to have two numbers that you add them together to get a result. So I'm giving it here an input, which is an A and B, input A and input B, and this is which is called a parameters or المدخلات or inputs. And I'm here having a command, which is whatever I'm trying to do here. So I'm saying that give me a variable called sum, basically let's add them together. And then when you finish, give me sum back. I need to sum back. So when I call this function, I'm using this function, I'm giving the inputs 2 and 3. So when it goes there, what do you think is going to happen? So when I give sum two numbers, 2 and 3, so 2 is basically goes to A, 3 goes to B. And then you start here. Sum equals A plus B. So it be, what would it be from here? So it's 5. So you have 2 goes here, B goes here. Our commands just uses those inputs to add them together, and you get back 5. So whatever you give it, whatever commands you have, and you get an output. So in a case of me wanting to use tools are basically just an interface, whether it's a programmable interface, whether it's a graphical interface. You provided a certain input. It has a certain features that deals with those inputs, and it gets you back. So I mentioned we need الموضوع, which is the theme, السياق, الcontext. Keywords, الكلمات المفتاحية. التايم فريم, الفترة الزمنية. الهدف من جمع المحتوى. And this is basically whatever tool I have. This tool will use those inputs I have it, and will get me back data. This is very oversimplified. Just, I don't know, I hope that it gives a certain simple meaning. Now we're going to talk about real examples. This is a real social media post that was in Libya. I'm going to leave you with like a minute to read it. Not a minute, it's too much, right? So it's basically, basically nice. So we can get here some sense. There is a new law, قانون مرور جديد, وفي غرامات, وفي سجن, وفي مواد. There's a call to action. اخبر أفراد أسرتك وجيرانك وزملائك حتى لا يقع في حد هذه المخالفة. والله ولي التوفيق وحفظ الله لي البلاد والعباد. In my context, this I know it's Libya because I gathered this input. For privacy reasons, we had the name of whoever posted it. So, in my question here, the post is too long, so I'll cut it here. When we use the previous parameters we called الموضوع, التايملاين, الكلمات المفتاحية, السياق. شو هو الموضوع حاليا؟ What is it about؟ يعني in simple words. يعني this thing, what is it about? Can I have contributions? وجود قانون مرور جديد. Do you have another input? Okay. Any other interesting? قانون مرور جديد يطبق الشهر القادم. This is actually a good point, which we're going to get into it. Yeah, تطبيق قانون المرور الجديد. So in my post here I cannot say where. تمام يعني I know أنا كجهاد وكأمجد وك-Libyan fact checkers we know في ليبيا. But me as reading this context I know it's تطبيق قانون المرور الجديد. I don't want to say where or when. I just know it's تطبيق موضوع الجديد. تطبيق قانون المرور الجديد. What are the keywords that could be like of importance in this case that you could يعني without them that will be have a different meaning? Okay. 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 شو؟ الشهر القادم. Okay. Yeah, all of those are correct. قانون مرور, سجن, غرامة, مواد القانون بمعنى whatever mentioned in the long line. And when you notice that يعني there is mentioning of numbers like 500 دينار, 5000 دينار, توقيف 3 أشهر, 6 أشهر. There's a call to action at the end. It's also important. Social media posts, especially those that gathers interactions, they like to play with your emotions or call you for something urgent, an intervention. Share, like, let people know, or they be like انباع تفيد بأنه سوف يطبق, or using emojis. So all those kind of stuff that attract your attention. So call to action is also like you see them everywhere. So yeah. So I'm gonna go back to some computer science since we are talking about keywords. Using keywords is one of the essential steps when you search for content in the content gathering process. Since we are dealing with machines or applications, whatever, there is a certain language that could help us reach our goal when we are giving. For example, when you Google something, when you Google anything, you use some keywords. Like you don't have to write what is the name of USA president. You just say US president, right? So it will get you a result. So in some way we are wired to know what are the important terms to mention, and the machine doesn't need a full human full sentence. And you could just say, throw some keywords and we get the result most of the time correct. How to do with this better? How to do it for me, in my case, I'm looking for a very specific topic. How do I design a key, I would say a search term that gets me the information exactly that I want, not something else. So in this way, in this thing, we're going to talk about some logical operators. It's a very basic concept in math and computer science, but it's also very important for many aspects, especially when you're dealing with like those kind of conditions where you're looking for a certain, like a subset of bigger content. Like you want a certain topic. The basic operator is AND. Does anyone can quickly tell me what AND does? AND is basically you give it two inputs. It has two inputs, A and B. It gives you an output. All of them has either one input or two inputs, and it gets you one output. So let's say I have a value of 0 and 0. Let's start with the basic one. An output of 1 and 1. They both should be true because it's an AND. You get 1 at the end. If one of them is not true, only one of them has a value of 1, the other one is 0, you'll get, in other cases, 0. Both as zeros, you get 0. One of them is 0, you get 0. Or is the other way around. It has to be at least one of the condition is true or available in our case. So in this case, we see it has the same behavior as AND, and only in this case, and then it changes. So if it's 1 and 0, one of them is at least right, is available or true. We get a true at the end. We get the result that we're looking for. If none of them is true, you get 0, but at least one of them is true. This is not, which is basically, we would say, the inverse or the opposite. So not. So you give it 1, it gives you 0. You give it a 0, it gives you 1, basically. So how this adds up to my content gathering. Now, before we go that, let's give a test. We have 1 and 1 here. What is the output should be in AND? Yes, because both of them is 1. So your both conditions are true, we get 1. If one of them is 0, we would get 0. Okay, in this one, because one of them is correct. One of them is true or available. Last one. 0. Amazing. Okay, this is what we actually use it in our case. I'm interested to look for search result that has to do with SMEX وخبز. I need the both terms to be in my key terms. I'm not looking for a search result that only mentions SMEX. I'm not looking for the search result that mentions only خبز. But I'm looking for a post. But actually, this applies not only just for Facebook. It applies for most of the places that has a search bar on them. Most of them have followed a certain standard of and or they have a different character. It could be the other and sign or a different sign. Or there's many other operators you could use for you to filter out, I would say. So, shit, I messed it up. SMEX and خبز. So yeah, this should be SMEX and خبز. So I'm looking for both terms. So what does that mean? So if I'm doing this kind of statement, SMEX and خبز, then means hopefully, yeah, I missed this slide. Sorry, I misnamed the previous slide. But yeah, same concept applies here. I'm looking for, in previous case, we're looking for both that has both terms. So I will just go back and ignore the mistake. So when I do this and press search, I'm going to get all the search result that has both words in the same text. So I wouldn't get a post that has only on smacks or another post that has only khubz on it. It has to be both. If there is no search result that has both of them, you're going to get 0 results. So it wouldn't get to one of them. In the other case, what I'm doing, or it's the other way around. Either I'm looking for smacks or khubz on it or both. You are broad in your set. Content you're looking for. Okay, I need the post that has a context of smacks. I need the context post that has I'm interested in the context of khubz on it, and I'm also interested in both of them if exist. So في الآخر حتاخذ نتائج البحث التي تحتوي على كلمة خبز ونت أو سمكس أو الاثنين مع بعض. This is when you combine stuff together. We took and alone, we took or alone, we took not alone. Now we're gonna put them all together. We said we want smacks and 2020, and this is the not sign of Google search. What do you expect here? What kind of results I'm going to get? Okay. Does anyone have another idea? Or do we agree with the last things we said? It's actually true. So I'm going to get a search result that has both the term SMAX 2022, but doesn't have khubz in it. So basically, I'm not interested in the context of where khubz in it is mentioned, whether as an announcement, whether as an event or anything. I just want to see مثلا SMAX activities in 2022. It would be like a simple version of keyword of a statement I want to look for. Now we go back again. I opened like a side mission for us, like understanding keywords. But the main task was for us to take this example and find الموضوع الكلمات المفتاحية. Now we are looking for الفترة الزمنية. What can we like conclude here? Like شو الفترة الزمنية? What are the clues? Okay, when is it? Okay. Until November 3rd. Give and take a week. Okay. What do you think about this? Okay. So in my context here, I know, because I capture the data, I know it's this October. But in other times, it would be 2021, for example. So I would be more specific in my timeline. So, for example, I wouldn't be looking for data if this is 2022. I wouldn't be looking for my data with a time frame of 2021 because this is not relevant for what I'm intending to have or my goal. So we have two timelines here. The timeline of the publishing this claim or the post, which is October 2022. I said October, not October 3, because I'm allowing the possibility of having some same post, but somewhere else in October. It could be before or after. It could also go at the end of September, but I give a certain window for myself. This window would help when we do analysis. So when we give a bigger time frame, we see a certain pattern of data. And then we notice that some kind of segments of time are not of an interest for us, so we tighten the window a bit. And the second time frame I'm looking for is November 2022, because it mentions here explicitly ابتداء من الشهر القادم. So I would be logically say it's November. السياق basically just gathering whatever information you picked from the previous exercises and your understanding of the situation. For example, if it's a flood, if it's a conflict, if it's I don't know, marketing campaign, you have a certain understanding on the side. So if I want to like just say what's this like in general, like add up all of the stuff you did before. How would you define السياق تبع هذا? It's like a statement. Okay, حلو. You need to add more data. You add the time frame. You add the time frame. You add the keywords. No, I'm giving the literal context here. Whatever is mentioned here. قانون مرور جديد في ليبيا يشمل غرامة the keyword سجن when it was published, when it should be applied. So basically, by context here, as a fact checker, because we're saying from different perspective, as a fact checker, I'm saying that there is a claim that is spreading around that there is إن في انتشار ادعاء في أكتوبر حول تطبيق قانون مرور جديد في ليبيا يشمل أحكام سجن وغرامات ابتداء من نوفمبر 2022. And the context depends also on your next point, which is the goal. Why I am interested to gather data of a similar thing. So I want to gather similar data that has to do with that topic. Can we give I don't know, I cannot predict what kind of context we could use. Yes, this is what will for us, but for other people, how could we use that? غير fake news. Can we use it for anything else? Because I'm personally curious to know. Okay, nice. Something like this. For different interests comes a different goal. For us, it's basically to fact check that claim. So we need to go gather data that has to do with a similar kind of formatting. So we're looking for claims that has to do with قانون جديد في ليبيا, قانون مرور جديد في ليبيا ابتداء من نوفمبر 2020. So we're looking for this kind of content. My timeline is specific. It's October, November 2022. What time is it now? How much do we have left? We have 30 minutes, right? All right, let's be fast. Yeah. So the next part will be practical, which basically we're going to use some of the tools, which will be by Amjad Khurwat.
Okay, thank you. So I think I'll need to sit so I can take you through how it's one of the يعني فيني اتكلم عربي صح؟ كلكم تفهموا عربي؟ في حدا بده انجليزي؟ Please, if there's someone needs English, I'll speak in English. There's translate. Okay, great. تمام. طبعا الادوات جمع المحتوى على منصات التواصل الاجتماعي عندنا كراود تانجل تعتبر من افضل الادوات اللي تستخدم لمراقبه المحتوى وتحليله وكذلك يعني فلترته حسب الموقع الجغرافي، حسب التاريخ، المده الزمنيه. في اكثر من بارامترز اللي حكي عليهم جهاد في الفانكشن تبع تحليل المحتوى نقدر نستخدمها في الاداه هذه. فحنركزوا على هذه الاداه في تحليل المحتوى. حنستخدموا نفس المثال تبع المرور، قانون المرور الجديد، ونشوفوا يعني نحددوا الاهداف نتاعنا كيف نقدروا نوصلوا لاصل الخبر، كيف بدا وهل هو صحيح او لا. يعني حنطبقوا الفاكت تشيكينج جول لجمع المحتوى وتحليله في هذا المثال. منها ان فيها خيارات تسهل لك عمليه مراقبه المحتوى بشكل آني يعني. فعلى سبيل المثال هنا فيك تقدر تدير كرييت ليست. الليسته هي تقدر تضيف فيها اي صفحات انت مستهدف تتابعها في مكان واحد، يعني بدل ما تكون مشتت من قبل اكثر من صفحه تقدر تجمع الصفحات مثلا المتعلقه ب الاخبار السياسيه الليبيه في مكان واحد، تقدر تجمع الشخصيات السياسيه في ليست واحده، تقدر تجمع اكثر من شيء في ليست واحده. فعلى سبيل المثال هنا عندنا البيج ليستس، درنا انفلونسرز، ميديا اوتلتس، اوفيشال انتيتيز، بوليتيكال بارتيز، public pages, security wise, pages that support some candidate. ف you can يعني put these lists these pages inside lists, and then you come to this dashboard. يعني عندك داشبورد عن طريقها تقدر تراقب المحتوى بشكل يعني آني وفلترته حسب التوقيت. على سبيل المثال لو دخلنا على الميديا اوتلتس وحددنا مثلا نبغى يعني we want to see the news for the last 2 hours for example. We just do this 2 hours. فهذه اخر الاخبار في اخر ساعتين، والاوفر بيرفورمينج يعني اللي عندها اكثر انتراكشنز. فمثلا يعني الترتيب انه يعطيك هذا الخبر قبل الثاني، هنا الفلتر كان على الاوفر بيرفورمينج يعني اللي فيها اكثر تفاعل. تقدر تغير الفلتر هذا كذلك. نقدر مثلا نديره مثلا most recent in the last 2 hours. فهذا من 25 دقيقة في الليست تبعنا، طبعا مش في فيسبوك بالكامل، في البيجز اللي ضفناها للليست اللي اسمها media outlets. By the way, you can interrupt me anytime you ask question. Exactly. Yeah, you add the pages او accounts لeach list لانك انت مستهدف يعني فئة مخصصة. هون media outlets يعني قنوات اخبارية، مثلا هذه قناة اخبارية اسمها عاجل فبراير، The Libyan Observer. يعني في الليست الميديا اوتلتس ضفنا فقط القنوات الاخباريه. Account. I don't think so. لا. هي الكراود تانجل بشكل عام يعني تعتبر تعطي في انسايتس على الببليك، المعلومات المنتشره ببليك. We can't go private. Public groups هي included as well. الجنرال. اوكي. ما عندناش وقت هلا. اوكي. فليتس جو تو يعني نحاول نطبق المثال اللي اخذناه على القانون المروري، نشوفوا كيف نقدروا نحللوا يعني نجمعوا البيانات ونحللوها عن طريق الكراود تانجل. في السيرش تول هذه تبحث في فيسبوك بالكامل، يعني مش فقط في الليستس اللي عاملينهم احنا، بس فيسبوك بالكامل تعطيك اكثر يعني حسب الفلاتر. هنا احنا نشوفه في المحتوى الاوفر بيرفورمينج، يعني بيسكلي كريستيانو رونالدو اوفر بيرفورمينج. فهون يعني يعطيك اخر 3 ايام اكثر المنشورات اللي هي اوفر بيرفورمينج. عندك شريط بحث هون، يعني عن طريقه تقدر تبحث بكلمات مفتاحيه معينه. عندك اكثر من خاصيه فلتره هون، مثلا البلاتفورم تقدر تبحث عن فيسبوك او انستغرام او ريدت او تويتر. يس. وتقدر تختار مثلا فيسبوك بيجز، بابليك جروبس زي ما كنا نحكوا، بس كل شيء لازم يكون بابليك. فيريفايد بروفايلز، مثلا تبحث على معلومات انت من حسابات فقط موثقه. At the time, I'm not sure. We never tried, but I think that only one at the time. اكزاكتلي. وفي اداه ثانيه في تويتر اسمها تويتر دك، هي مشابهه للكراود تانجل يعني في الخواص هذه. خلينا نطبق المثال اللي اخذناه. طبعا سلايدز جهاد على الباوربوينت انت حاطها، نبي نشوف النص الادعاء بس. اما واحده هذه. اوكي. اوكي. احنا المثال متاعنا كان هذا: انباء تفيد بان سوف يطبق قانون المرور الجديد والذي يشمل غرامه. زوم ان. اوكي. طبعا احنا اول شيء درناه اللي هو الابزورفنج، الادعاء. طلع لنا ادعاء اخبار، فاول شيء زي ما قال جهاد نحددوا الهدف من الموضوع متاعنا. طبعا انا كفاكت تشيكر او مدقق حقائق، الهدف متاعي اني نتحقق من صحه هذا الادعاء، هل هو صحيح، هل هو حقا يعني صار في ليبيا او في منطقه ثانيه، وحتى لو صار في منطقه ثانيه هل هو صحيح في تلك المنطقه او لا. هذه اول نقطه. ثاني نقطه اللي هي عمليه البحث عن طريق كلمات مفتاحيه، يعني تحصل لي جمع البيانات بطريقه تعطيني معنى في الاخير اللي هو نعرف انه صحيح زائف او مضلل. فخلينا نبدو بكتابه الكلمات المفتاحيه في شريط البحث. شنو في اقتراحكم احسن كلمات مفتاحيه ممكن نستخدمها للبحث على هذا المثال؟ قانون المرور الجديد، صح؟ قانون المرور الجديد. نعم اكزاكتلي. قبل ما نحدده حتى في ليبيا برا ليبيا، السنترال ايديا اللي هي القانون المرور الجديد. طبعا من المهم جدا الكلمات تكون يعني كانها نسخ لصق من الادعاء نفسه. صح. بنحصر المثال بعدين، احنا حناخدها بمتوسع وبعدين نبدا نقلصه بشوي. فلو كتبنا مثلا قانون مرور جديد تختلف عن قانون المرور الجديد، لان الخوارزميه تبع كراود تانجل يعني تاخذ في النص كما هو بالضبط. فيهم ان انت تبي تبحث على البيانات نتاعك تنسخها مثل نفس الادعاء اللي عندك. قانون المرور الجديد اول شيء، طبعا الادعاء زي ما شفنا متداول من شهر 10، فلاست 3 دايز مش حيطلع شيء. بنحددوا الاطار الزمني التايم فريم للاست 12 مانثس، يعني خلال سنه كامله بنبحثوا على قانون المرور الجديد خلال كل البوستات اللي انتشرت على فيسبوك وعملت يعني اوفر بيرفورمنس. فعلى طول نلاحظوا هنا مثلا في الجراف اهو ان اكتوبر احنا قلنا صح، لقينا ان في اكتوبر انتشرت المعلومه هذه ان في قانون مرور جديد، بس اللي اكتشفناه عن طريق كراود تانجل انه اصلا بدا اول مره انتشر فيها الموضوع كان في جون، وفي قبله كان في فبراير ممكن كان في قانون مرور جديد بس ممكن مش نفس النص. فهذه اول خطوه. عرفنا ان خلال الاطار الزمني الموضوع بدا في الانتشار باوفر بيرفورمينج خلال فيسبوك في شهر جون مش اكتوبر. يعني اكتوبر كانه ايكو للخبر اللي انتشر من 3-4 شهور فاتوا. هذا الخبر المنتشر في شهر اكتوبر: انباء تفيد بان سوف يطبق قانون المرور الجديد. اكثر من قناه من اكثر من صفحه نشرته. اوكي. كذلك نلاحظوا انه منتشر كذلك في العراق مش في ليبيا فقط، نفس النص بالضبط مع شويه اضافات. تنبيه: سوف يطبق قانون المرور الجديد والذي يشمل غرامه سجن ابتداء. نفس المعلومات بالضبط، ممكن شويه تغييرات. ويعني صور اكثر من صوره يستخدموا كانه يعني يعطوا فيه نوع من الاكشواليتي انه حقيقي صاير. تو باش نقصوا يعني الحيز البحث تبعنا نقدر نستخدموا الاور والاند اللي حكي عليهم جهاد. مثلا نقدر نقول قانون المرور الجديد، او خلينا في البدايه نبحثوا في ليبيا جيوغرافيكال، يعني نتخصصوا في ليبيا فقط نشوفوا امتى انتشر كاول مره. فنقدر نجوا هنا اللوكال ريليفنس، نقدر نحددوا المنطقه الجغرافيه ليبيا. يس الاودينس. ايه audience mostly interacting with the bus. Yeah. اللوكيشن بتاعها معي. في بيج ادمن كانتري كذلك you can filter with it if you want. بالضبط. في الجراف لو تلاحظوا هنا اللي كانت في فبراير اختفت النتوء اللي كان هنا صغير فالموضوع منتشر في شهر جون واكتوبر بالنسبه للوسط الليبي. يعني انا كمدقق حقائق في ليبيا لقيت انه منتشر في الفترتين الزمنيتين هما. تو الهدف نتاعي اني نبي نشوف اصل الادعاء او كيف بدا ومنين اخذوا الموضوع. فنقدروا هنا نحددوا بدل اوفر بيرفورمينج نديروا الاولدست يعني الاقدم. جهاد منين؟ توتال انتراكشنز تشوف فيها هذه صح؟ من هنا نقدر نحددوا سوري newest قاعده تحت oldest. اوكي طبعا oldest مش حيعطيك اوفر بيرفورمينج، بيعطيك الاقدم وخلاص. طبعا داتا على مدى 12 شهر فتاخذ شويه حتى تدير بروسيسنج. يس ايه exactly that's the time span in the function of data collection. yes هنا تو بعد ما درنا الاولدست وجهتنا مشكله ثانيه هي فكره جمع البيانات. ديما بتلقى يعني انك بتغير ممكن في البارامترز نتاعك. هنا الحاجه اللي حنغيروا فيها اللي هي الكلمات المفتاحيه لان هنا ما عادش عندنا الاوفر بيرفورمينج، عندنا الاولدست. فممكن في حاجات فيها القانون المروري الجديد بس ما لهاش علاقه بالخبر المتداول different context. ايوه السياق هنا مختلف. فنزيدوا الكلمات المفتاحيه باش نقدروا نأطر الموضوع. شنو في كلمه مفتاحيه ممكن تساعدنا؟ تو كنت تلاحظوا هنا ما ليش علاقه بقانون المرور الجديد صح؟ قانون المرور الجديد قم بربط حزام التقوى والسير في طريق الصالحين، ما ليش علاقه. ميتافور. فشني الكلمات المفتاحيه اللي برايكم تردنا للادعاء اللي كنا نبحثوا عليه؟ هو الادعاء سوري غرامه. اوكي فنقدر نستخدموا الكي اوبريتور اللي حكينا عليهم الاوبريتور اللوجيكال اوبريتورز اللي قال عليهم جهاد. نقدر نديروا اند في السيرش سوري غرامه نبحثه من جديد. تنبيه سوف يطبق قانون المرور الجديد الذي يشمل الغرامة. هذا كان في جون 5 جون 2022. ممكن في أقدم منه. exactly this one yeah BMW هذه أقدم. هاي الصفحة هذه هلا هاي أصل الادعاء في ليبيا. هذه اللي بدأت الموجة تبع جون وتبع أكتوبر لاحقا. اقصى شيء هو سنه تقريبا صح؟ هو في كاستم تقريبا كاستم تقدر تحدد اكثر من تقدر تبحث حتى في السنوات اللي القديمه. اتس باورفul تول اتس ريلي باورفul. مجانيه بس حاليا هذا اكاديميكس. لا حتى الميديا كانوا يستخدموا فيها الميديا نيوز تقريبا نيوز رومز لمتابعه المحتوى. بس حاليا احنا كانير قدمنا على شيء اسمه فيسبوك بارتنر تشانل. يعني اتاحت لنا ان كمدققين محتوى نحصلوا على اداء يعني بتسهيل. فلقينا هنا مصدر الخبر ان الصفحه هذه وكاتبين انها في العراق. للاسف التوقيت ما يسعفناش لاستكمال عمليه الفاكت تشيكينج. هو يعني لو نكملوا حنلقوا ان حتى المنتشر في العراق والاردن كذلك نص يعني متداول ماهوش صحيح، والنص الاصلي كان منتشر في الكويت عن طريق جوجل. طبعا وجدناه لاحقا انه منتشر في صحيفه رسميه في الكويت قانون مروري جديد، ومن غادي تقريبا اخذوا يعني صفحات من العراق وصفحات ليبيه اخذوه من العراق وبدا يتداول. فهذا كان ملخص على الكراود تانك. شكرا.
طيب انا سوري اضطريت نقاطع امجد لان نحاولوا نغطوا كل الاجزاء، وكذلك عندنا ضيفين هنايا حابين يعرضوا الاكزامبل نتاعهم، يعني الكيس ستدي اللي عملوها خلال الايام اللي فاتت، يعني خضعوا لتدريب مثل هذا، فبنعطيهم الفرصه انهم يقدموا الجلسه نتاعهم. قبل ما نمشي للشباب، في اداة اخرى مماثله من تصميم من تصميم اكشلي الاداء هذه من شخص عزيز علي صراحه، دربني اكثر من مره، استاذ وليد السقاف، باحث يمني، مهندس برمجيات، وكذلك يعني في مجال او اس اي ان تي، اوبن سورس انتليجنس تكنولوجيز. فالاداة هذه اسمها مي كوديفاي. الشغل اللي قدمه دكتور وليد جميل جدا، يعني بس مش مثلا التول مقدمتها متى، بس لكن كذلك تؤدي الغرض، يعني مسهل عمليه جمع البيانات في تويتر. فلعدم وجود وقت ممكن يعني تاخذوها كنوت، بس نفس الفكره، يعني تحتوي على كلمات مفتاحيه، تايم فريم، بعض الاوبشنز، هل الريتويتس انكلود ان داتا سيت اور نوت. No, it's more of, it has also like graphic. I'll give an example very quick. سؤال: هل تمانعون ان مثلا تزيدوا 10 دقائق على الجلسه؟ نسمح فرصه ان our guest speakers to present. طيب. I'm gonna give this is a demo version. Anyone could work around it. The demo allows you to go back 7 days behind. The full version subscription based on the procedures, you can go retrospective, depends on your access. Academic is different than a business, different than an individual. But in the demo that Dr. Walid provided, he's using an API version that gives you 7 days back maximum. So this is good for demonstration. What? Yeah, this is for Twitter. So I give an example of Facebook and Twitter. Obviously, there are more other tools. So this is the interface, what it looks like. You add a case. You add a case, you give it a certain name in the system. It doesn't matter, but you need to be descriptive so you can get back to it. Platform, those are blocked, so you cannot touch them. You could include, you want to include retweets or not. You want to include the reference to the tweets. Search queries, basically as we did in MeCodify, you put the key term there, the time, the keywords, the logical operators of any time. However, here you do the time frame. If you don't put any, it's going to use only 7 days back. But in maximum, you can only get to 7 days back in the demo version. And you submit the case. When you submit the case, it keeps gathering tweets. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to give an example of something we did, we saved a while ago. You see that this the demo version gives you access to what other people have tested and worked around. Yes, this one. So I didn't specify the time. Hmm? Oh, sorry. Thanks. Very good. Yeah, I was attempting to zoom in the map, but I mean I think it's self-evident. You just try to tweak a bit of timing, and it gets to closer to time frames. This tool is amazing that it also captures many other stuff than the content. Hashtags lists you all the content. In this case, I was looking for a certain event happened في ليبيا. رئيس مجلس النواب تلاقى مع رئيس مجلس الأعلى للدولة اللي هم عقيلة صالح و شو اسمه هو؟ خالد المشري. I was interested in that content. They met in Morocco. When we see the hashtags, you see Libya, Al-Maghrib, Aqila, Salah. This is actually very helpful. It gives you feedbacking your keyword. Yes. Yes, data was captured from the search. And if you see, there is like different sizes. Different sizes means it depends on how many content in that use that hashtag. So there's a lot of functionalities, visualization based on the tweets, based on the twitters. So change the graph metrics here, count what kind of tweets, retweets, or not, or only unique. Yeah, languages, Twitter source. I recommend you guys looking for it. And yeah, sorry I had to cut this part short. But now I would, no, not this one. I'm gonna go. Okay. I'm gonna go to our guests here. Our guests are
Lazo Bakhtiar Ali. I'm a Kurd from Iraq. And do I start?
I'm Yasmin Mnafri, and I'm a computer science student from Tunisia.
yeah. So Lazo from Kurdistan, Iraq, and sorry, Yasmin from Tunisia. Who wants to start first? Okay. Your slide is this one.
Hello. So I know the title is very like clickbaity, but it's not far-fetched actually. But I like to keep my opinion out of this, and I'm just untangling the mess. And I think you were from Iraq too, right? Yeah. So she knows that Iraqi news is very messy, and like there isn't someone that fact checks it. It's just people saying their opinion. And I wanted to do something about Iraq itself because it was a very Arabic focus, but it's very different. My region of Iraq is completely different from the rest of it. Jihad, if you can. So this guy, his name is Dr. Kazem Farouk, and he was a member of the parliament for the New Generation movement, okay? And if we have a marker here, I want to track the people. I'm gonna do this super fast, okay? So who do we have? We have Dr. Kazem, we're gonna call him DK, and he works for the New Generation movement. He used to. And then recently there was news about him being poisoned. So I was like, whoa, how can he be poisoned? Next. So what I'm going to talk about, my case study, what I learned from Jihad and Anir, at first was like, I was really interested in their work. I saw their Instagram page and I really wanted to learn. So I participated in this and I learned. So I want to talk about the necessity of why we should understand the news, especially in the Middle East, because it's very messy, and how I collected my data, the timeline of my events, and my conclusion. So first of all, who knows this book, Manufacturing Consent by Noam Chomsky? It's an incredible book. He talks about how the big media, right, in the US manufactures our consent and the government can do whatever they want, right? They make us believe that it's necessary to go invade Iraq. It makes us believe that we should overthrow like whoever in Libya or whatever, right? Yemen, all these cases where there's US government intervention. This consent of the American people was manufactured by the news. It's an incredible book. During the time frame where this, it's like huge, right? A parliament member is being poisoned. There was news about like, I don't know, 2 people kissing and like this guy saying something. So top news was not a parliament member being poisoned, which is huge. It was some, you know, sensationalist thing. So here's how I did things through CrowdTangle and through what I learned from Jihad and Anir. So I gathered some pages, and I'll tell you how I did that. It's very funny. I collected some keywords, and I established a timeline. Okay, so how did I gather pages? I have a teacher who is really conservative and really traditional, and he is funny. He has really nice opinions. So he follows about like 5,000 pages on Facebook, and he just comments on every post he sees. So his Facebook account, I went into his likes, and I saw a lot of things. I have a lot of relatives from this political party, a lot of relatives from that political party. So different opinions, and I went on their likes, and I saw their things, what pages they liked. Then I opened each page in a new tab. Then I used this Chrome extension to copy all tabs. It copies the URL for each tab, and then I put it into a spreadsheet. I gathered around 237 pages on Facebook. Then you can bulk add these to a list in CrowdTangle, so you don't have to go one by one. You can just, by bulk, add them together. So this is the pages. So now we have some pages. Next. And then I was like, okay, Dr. Kazem Farouk, who is related to him? Okay, so he's a member of the parliament, right? And then we have Shahswar Abdul Wahid, who is like the leader of the, okay, sorry. He's the leader of, so Shahswar Abdul Wahid, he's the leader of the New Generation Movement. And then we have Ali Hamad Saleh. He's also another member of parliament, and he's opposition, right? And then we have the PUK and the PDK. These guys are, you know, the leading families. Yeah, the leading, not families, political parties, but they're kind of families. And then we have the New Generation Movement, we have Shahswar, and we have Poison, right? That's also a key term. So I again asked what, who, when, and what is involved. So I gathered a map of keywords I was looking for. Next. And then when I put all of this into CrowdTangle, I found this timeline for the past year. There's a blimp around February, and there is a lot of activity, again, about Dr. Kazem Farouk and all these things collectively. So this is when Dr. Kazem Farouk basically went against his own party and against the government, and he raised his shoe in parliament, and he was like, I don't respect you guys, whatever. Then he said, okay, I'm never gonna work in the parliament ever again, right? So then he disappears. Dr. Kazem Farouk disappears. He's like nowhere to be heard of. There's some cases, people wondering, but he completely disappears. Then he comes back into the news, okay? And this can be from October 25th to November 1st. Now let's go. So October 25th, people are like, whoa, he's alive. And I'm just giving examples, but like this was in the news, not top news because they were trying to hide it, or were they? But it was in the news. So like he's alive, but he's sick, right? He's in like, he did some surgery somewhere, they did, like implanted the liver for him, whatever. October 25th. October 26th, the leader of the spokesperson for the New Generation Movement says, no, he's not sick, that's all a lie. He ran to Europe and he's still taking money from his parliament position, right? So they're like, we don't claim him anymore, okay? And if you look at this post, actually the likes are all Indians and like, you know, just farm bots, okay, bot farms. Basically like, I think Thailand, Nepal, all these countries, why are they interested in Kurdish politics, right? No one is. So that happened on October 26th. A day after it was found that he was alive and not just disappeared. Next. Then this guy, Ali Hamad Saleh, he's also like an unrelated member of parliament, but he's very trusted by the people. He says, no, actually he is sick, and I have a taqreer by the police that he was poisoned or something, right? And his family told me that he's actually sick. So Dr. Kazem's family, let's say Dr. Kazem family, he just said he's sick, okay? Next. And then Shahswar Abdul Wahid, the leader of the New Generation Movement, says like, no, he's not sick, we didn't poison him, nothing happened. Like, why are you worried? No one said it's you, right? But it's weird that you're doing this huge press conference day after this guy appears to be sick and poisoned, right? So what he says, he's not sick, he's a liar, and everyone else who talks about this is a liar. And so he gets really frustrated and he throws this fit, and he's very incoherent because he's a businessman. He's not a politician, but he's a businessman turned politician like Trump. So people trust him and he's funny. next. So next day, the family is like, no, actually, like the mother of Dr. Kazem actually comes on TV. It's surprising for a 70-year-old woman to be this coherent on TV. She was actually really like keeping it together until the end. She started crying, but she says, no, my son is sick, and she starts crying. I mean, then Shahsuar had a lot of bots on Facebook just saying, no, she's lying. They said the mother was lying. A mother never lies, especially in the tears and whatever. Maybe she is, I don't know. But I would be surprised. So the mother says, this is the next day, on October 30th, she says, my son is indeed sick. And then next, yes, and then to add insult to injury, so he said everyone was lying. Turns out, no, everyone is not lying. Then Ali Hamad Saleh says, wait, not only is this guy lying, he's the fake opposition, like the new generation movement is the opposition. Not only is he lying and he poisoned his own member of parliament that did not collaborate with him anymore, he is also kind of in bed with the ruling parties. Like, they gave him a piece of land for free, and he owes the government a lot of money. The government itself sued this guy, and they couldn't sue him. The government sued a person, and they couldn't sue him, and he's the opposition. He was like, in what country is the opposition this loved? So he just exposes them all, and then, day after that, unfortunately, the news started to die down again. Why did the news start to die down? Because the ruling parties, when they realized, their what is it called? Their pawn boy is being exposed, they were like, you know what, we got to push some news in there that's not related to this. And the news were sensationalist things. They were trying to create tension between Kurds and Arabs in Kirkuk. They were highlighting those tensions to, say that we're not your enemy, Arabs are your enemy, or whatever. And one of those news was very sad, actually. An Arab person burned a Kurdish person or whatever. And the news was like from 2 weeks ago, and they just made it visible now. So yeah, this is the timeline of the events as it happened. And in conclusion is, we have modern problems, right? In this world of like social media, all this news, all these events and things, we need modern tools. We need things to be able to untangle through the mess. We can't just Google what happened here, because we're gonna get a billion pages that each say a different thing, and everyone is saying what they want to say. And there's no shame in lying. People are lying all the time, right? So we have to go dig in the mess ourselves and untangle it. So that is, for me, it's really interesting to tell this story, to be able to, by the way, it's impossible to explain another story like this in Kurdistan. It's literally impossible. But through the tools I had, I can explain a timeline of what happened. And you guys know what happened now, right? It's not he said, she said. We saw how it unfolded. So this gives me a concrete look on what happened. And that's thanks to the tools and, being one step ahead of misinformation. Thank you very much.
Amazing, Naz. Now, Yasmin.
Hi everyone. So today I'm going to present to you the case study I did about Tunisia. The topic of the events of Gergis, which has been very trendy in the past month. It has been all over social media. There's nothing you see other than this, and like Facebook feeds, Twitter feeds. So it's perfect for our study. Next, Juju. So, okay. Yeah, So I'm gonna give you a little bit of background about the event itself and what happened, and we'll go over how I went on discovering the data and going on about it. So what happened is some illegal immigrants from Gergis, they are locals, they were trying to cross the borders, the Mediterranean, to go to Europe, which is kind of typical and happens on a daily basis in North African countries at this point. So nothing really interesting about it. But what happened is, after a few days, these immigrants, they disappeared. Their parents and families, they didn't hear back from them. There's nothing, ولا أخبار. So they reach out to the local authorities. Where are our kids? Can you please find them? There's no bodies, no news. Are they dead? Are they not? And they did nothing about it. فبلشوا عمليات تمشيط. They were looking for the bodies. بحارة متطوعين. There's nothing. وهنا بلش التصعيد وبلش المظاهرات وهون بلشت the news and why the topic became trendy. So going over the news, the keywords that we found is أحداث جرجيس, جريمة جرجيس as some people called it, and المهاجرين المفقودين. The hashtags that were trendy the most were وينهم أولادنا كلنا جرجيس. لأنه a lot of the posts that were trendy were basically تضامن مع الأهالي. And people who are worried, where are the kids? And when it comes to the posts and the trendiest posts, we go over the who. It's news pages, personal accounts, and personal pages, which are, we're gonna go over again when we go to the sources. Nice. So here's the timeline. The timeline is actually the most interesting because the event actually happened in September. And you see that the peak of the news, the first peak, is on 12th of October. Because the topic only started surfacing when الأهالي اكتشفوا إنه there's a possibility that the kids that were trying to cross the borders, they were found by the authorities. ودفنوهم في مقبرة الغرباء, which is مقبرة مخصصة to foreigners that have no identity and they can't reach to their parents. And هاي المقبرة is in the same town, the same city where these people are from. فهن الغرباء في بلادهم. And when this happened and the protests started, that's when the news and the posts started to resurface, and you see that there's a peak on around 12th of October. In total, around October, there's over 1 million interactions and over 7,000 posts. The second peak here is in 18th of October. You see that the news started to decline. There's less talk about it. The topic is starting to be forgotten. So what happened is we went over the news and we specified this time frame using CrowdTangle, as Jojo was explaining, as Jihad was explaining, sorry. Sorry. So the topic resurfaced when the protests started escalating. So people started forgetting, less talk about it, there's nothing being done about the issue. So what happened is there was إضراب عام, في اعتصامات بالميناء, كان توقف تام لكل القطاع العام في جرجيس, وهون بلش talk again. Okay, so we're back to the sources. Interestingly, there was some official news pages, so there was some trusted source of information for people to check into. But there's also local news pages, which are, you know, those kind of Lebanon اليوم, أخبار ما بعرف شو. And there's also fake artist pages, which is very relevant to the misinformation. Nice. For the official pages, because they are usually radios, TVs, they're official pages, trusted source of information. But there's also local news pages, which are usually hiding a lot of political agendas. As Lazo mentioned, like, you see that some members of your families or some of your teachers, they post certain stuff that you can totally tell their political background. So I go over Facebook and all the local news pages, like you see some category of people, they follow a particular type of pages. So you go over the news and you feel like each group is living in one version of the country and you don't know which one it is. Here's a post about someone like يحذر عن الأجندة والفتنة. Next. So these are 3 examples of local news pages that hide a political agenda. This one is quite straightforward. عاجل الآلاف يتظاهرون في جرجيس ضد قيس سعيد. And for context, Qais Said is the president of Tunisia. There was no one protesting about Qais Said. All these families were just worried about their kids, whether they're alive or not. These 2 examples, well, you read the title of the news and you can't really tell whether it's political or not. But you read the name of the page and انتخبت قيس عايد وانا دم. هيك the news they seem normal. هي just قائمة المفقودين, who are the kids who went who disappeared. But then you look at the description and it's like أبناؤنا الذي فقدوا خلال عملية حرق هربا من الجوع والفقر الذي خيم على البلاد. And who are they blaming? قيس سعيد. So you see the influence embedded. They embed their local agenda, like their political agenda, and the misinformation spread. Interestingly, when I was going over the posts in CrowdTangle, and I was going through overperforming or most interactions, it came to my attention that some of the most performing posts, so we're talking about like thousands of interactions per post, is that they were artists, like very well-known artists. Naima Al-Jani, she's a very famous actress. Bassam Hamraoui is a very, very famous comedian. And Bassam Hamraoui, he had like 3 or 4 most performing posts talking about the protests. So I went to the page and there's like many different kind of news about topics that were surfacing in the past few months. Different topics, not just this one. And what kind of artist will have his PR allowing this? So I went investigating about the pages because they have a lot of followers, so you would assume they were to be trusted. I mean, if a page has 1.7 million followers, it's an official page. Well, here they're kind of being honest. So it's fan page, so they're not hiding it that much. And this one, it says page officiel, so it's the official page with 1 million followers. Yeah, so they hide under the name of famous people, and it's not any people. It's not those controversial artists that someone would have something to say about them. It's very well-known artists that are loved by anyone. This is the kind of artist that everyone loves and they have like childhood memories with. So they have some kind of influence over like the general opinion and yes. Yes. Definitely, yeah. So to conclude, the news are always at risk of being politically hijacked. There's always political agendas through misinformation, through influence of the general opinion. So we are very, very in need of initiatives like ENIR to have fact-checking, to verify, to have trusted sources of information. Because the more trendy the topic is, the more people talk about it, the more misinformation spread there is. So we're really in desperate need for sources that we can trust and fact-checking so we can have the information that we deserve. Thank you.
Honestly, I'm very, like, they sent me the slides yesterday. I didn't get the chance to look at them, but I'm very happy of both of your work, guys. Thank you so much. Lazo and Yasmin, they were working on this for the last 2 weeks. So this is amazing, honestly. To be honest with you, I'm not done personally, but the time is over. Maybe we could skip the other part of the session is. Wait. Yeah, we give examples. Was like basically I'm gonna give an introduction to a little bit of the natural language processing, and it's basically uses of formal linguistical studies along with computational knowledge to study the languages of like the structure of language, the words, التصريف, الأوزان, الإعراب, and representing them in a computational way. And this helps a lot in research to understand the language, the sentiment, discourse. Yeah. Like مثل عفاف mentioned, there's like analyzing the emotions on Twitter. And like there is a big direction towards building data sets and corpuses. So data sets is basically let's go with corpuses. Corpuses is basically just like مصنفات مصنفات للأخبار مصنفات للشعر الأندلسي فترة. So it's like thousands of أبيات شعرية مثلا. مصنف آخر له علاقة مثلا بالقوانين العربية في 1950 هذا مصنف. ف availability of those corpuses helps computational linguistics study Arabic language and other languages in general. Data sets helps in machine learning. Data sets, for example, let's say one example is a data set is labeled, you have 1,000 news, 1,000, let's say 1,000 posts on Facebook, and they label either sad or mad, sad or happy or mad or anything. So they use it for machine learning to build models that predict what, for example, you give it a certain tweet, what would it be? And this is, I'm done. And yeah, this is like, yeah, suddenly we just stop. Yeah. I really would like to have some discussion with you if you have time, if anyone has questions, comments. Yeah.